Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and a very happy new year to you and yours. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this plain and pattern shift dress that I'm wearing, and if that's something that you'd like to see, definitely keep watching. It promises to be another fun and detailed tutorial. To make your shift dress, you'll need the following items. You need a pattern master, and this is one of my favorite tools and you guys know why. You'd also need some pins. You need your tailor's chalk, you'd need your measuring tape, you'd also need a fabric scissors, and I advise that you guys invest in a good pair of fabric scissors. Check out the links that I have in the description bar of this video for some items or supplies that you might want to get. You need a yard to a yard and a half of pattern fabric, and I've decided to use Ankara for my pattern fabric, and then a yard to a yard and a half of the plain fabric. So depending on your size guys, that's why I said a yard to a yard and a half. And of course, check out the links that I have in the description bar if you're trying to buy some supplies. Start off by laying the plain fabric on the table so that the right side is facing up. Then go ahead and lay the pattern fabric on the plain one. You want to make sure that the right sides of both fabrics are facing each other, and you want to make sure that you lay it as flat as possible. Pin the ends together as shown. They'll be stitched together to make the center front. So guys, for this dress that we're making, the center front will have a joining, and that's why we're basically pinning the edges together. We'll go ahead and sew on a 1/2 inch sewing allowance later on. However, we're pinning them in place so that it's flat and nice. So guys, after pinning the edges together all the way, you want to make sure the edges are straight, by the way. Go ahead and fold over the pinned edge, which is the center front, and you want to fold it over as shown. After folding over, you want to check that the room you have is at least 1/4 of the hip measurement plus about 3 inches, which will make room for like the allowances that you need. So as you can see, I folded it over, and I'm going to go ahead with my measuring tape to check that what I have is more than 1/4 of the hip measurement. After confirming that you have enough room, which is more than 1/4 of the hip measurement, go ahead and pin the center front down to the fabric as shown. You want to pin it down so that we have space for the center back as well. At the top of the fabric, go ahead and mark a horizontal top line that is about 3 centimeters away from the top. You basically want to mark this top line as a guideline, however, it will also function as the shoulder line. Starting from the center front edge, go ahead and mark 1/2 inch inwards. You want to do this all the way from the top of the fabric to the bottom of the fabric as shown. This accounts for the sewing allowance of the center front. So guys, remember I said that the center front in this case is not going to be on fold. It's going to be a mix of both fabrics, and that's why we need to join both fabrics. So we're going to be joining on this 1/2 inch allowance that we're marking right now. Starting from the sewing allowance line, that's the 1/2 inch we did inwards, go ahead and mark 1 inch outwards as shown. This accounts for the zip allowance for the center back pieces. So guys, what you want to do is you want to place your measuring tape, and you want to place it starting at the 1/2 inch mark that we did earlier, and you want to mark 1 inch outwards now towards the other side of the fabric so that we have the slit or the zip allowance rather for the center back. Because I find that it's convenient for me to work with just the amount of fabric that I need, I went ahead to cut off all the excess fabric, making sure to cut on the line or on the markings we made on the center back pieces as shown. Starting from the shoulder line, mark out vertically the shoulder to bust point measurement, and then go ahead and mark out 2 inches above the bust point measurement to give the armhole line, and then go ahead and mark out the shoulder to waist measurement vertically as well. Starting from the waist, you want to go ahead and mark the waist to hip point, and then you want to go ahead and mark the desired dress length plus your hemming allowance. So for me, I went with a dress length of 20 inches because I didn't want this short, and then I added 1 inch for my hemming allowance, as you can see. Afterwards, I cut off the excess fabric. all horizontal measurements will be marked starting from the center front sewing allowance line. So guys, you can remember that we marked 1/2 inch from the edge inwards. So we're going to start all our measurements from that line. On the shoulder and armhole lines, mark half the shoulder measurement plus 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So like I said, you want to start marking from the sewing allowance line that we have at the edge, and then you want to mark half the shoulder measurement plus 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Afterwards, connect the points with a vertical line and then square out the armhole measurement as shown. Next, on the bust line and the armhole line, you want to mark 1/4 of the bust measurement plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance and 1/2 inch for ease. On the waistline, mark 1/4 of the waist measurement plus 1 inch for ease and then 1 inch for sewing allowance. So basically at the waist point, you want to add a total of 2 inches to 1/4 of the waist measurement. Next, you want to mark the waist to hip measurement, and the waist to hip measurement is a vertical measurement that can be gotten from the hip measurement divided by 4 minus 1. So if the hip measurement is 40 inches, you want to do 40 divided by 4 minus 1, which will give you 9. On the hip and hem lines, mark 1/4 of the hip measurement plus 1 inch for sewing allowance and 1/2 inch for the ease. So basically you'll be adding a total of 1.5 inches. Afterwards, connect all the marked points as shown. On the vertical armhole depth line, mark 1 inch from the top as shown and then draw in the armhole curve. As you can see, I'm using my pattern master, guys, and it's a very handy tool. So if you would like to shop, check out the links that I have in the description bar below. Going back to the shoulder line, go ahead and mark 3.5 to 4 inches for the neck width on the shoulder line, and then mark a back neck depth of 1.5 inches, and then go ahead and draw the back neck as shown. Afterwards, mark the front neck depth of 3.5 to 4 inches depending on what you want, and then draw in the front neckline. Then go ahead and draw the shoulder slant by connecting the neck point or the neck width point to the 1 inch drop on the shoulder as shown. After connecting the shoulder slants, add 1/2 inch sewing allowance to the top of the shoulder slant and then cut out the marked points starting with the back neck depth. Be careful not to cut out the front neck yet. Go ahead and cut along the marked points like I said earlier. Unpin the necklines and then fold away the back neckline, then carefully cut out the front neck after folding away the back neckline as shown. Go ahead and separate the pieces and then put the back pieces away. With the front pieces, you want to go ahead and sew the center front area together on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So basically we've marked out the allowance. So what you want to do is you want to sew from the top all the way to the bottom as shown, so that at the end of the day you have it together. After joining the front pieces together, this is what it looks like. Go ahead and put the front piece aside and then go ahead and reach for the scrap fabric. We'll need to cut out 2 rectangular pieces that are about 9 inches in length and 7 inches in width. One piece will be cut from the Ankara fabric and the other piece will be cut from the plain fabric, and this will be used as the pockets. To avoid confusion, go ahead and mark the wrong sides of both fabrics and then go ahead and hem the top of the pocket pieces by folding in 1/2 inch and then 1 inch as shown. So you can hold it in place after folding and repeat it for the other side, and then go ahead and sew it in place. After hemming the pocket pieces, go ahead and open up the front pieces, and what you can do is you can create a notch at the waistline. So if you're not sure where the waistline is, from the wrong side you can see the part where you have the waistline, and you can create a notch there. So go ahead and do that. Afterwards, you want to go ahead and position the pockets where you want them to be, pin the pockets in place, and then go ahead and sew the pockets in place as shown. So for me, I like to place the pocket about 4 inches or 3.5 to 4 inches below the waist. So as you can see, I'm marking 4 inches below the waist and then 3 inches away from the center front line, and then I'm going to go ahead and place my pockets where I want them to be. So like I said, I recommend about 4 inches below the waist and 3 inches away from the center point as the start point for the pockets. So go ahead and place the plain pocket on the pattern fabric, and as you can see, I'm folding the pocket in 1/2 inch at all sides. So folding 1/2 inch at the side and then folding 1/2 inch at the bottom, and then pin it into place where you want the pocket to sit. After pinning the pocket in place, this is what it should look like. So you want to go ahead and repeat it on the other side before you sew the pockets down. So again, on the other side, you want to go 3 inches away from the center line and then 4 inches away from the waistline. You want to place the pocket there, and then you want to fold it in by 1/2 an inch at the sides and at the bottom. Afterwards, you want to hold it in place with pins, and then when you're happy with the positioning of both, you want to go ahead and top stitch the pockets in place, making sure to lock your stitches so that the pocket stays secure. After sewing the pockets in place, this is what they look like, and as you can see, they look really nice and functional. So the next thing to do is to finish off the neckline using a bias tape, and if you would like to know how I do this, I have a detailed video showing you how to finish off necklines using bias tape or facing. Do check out the video that I'll link in the iCard above, or check out the description bar for the video and then you can watch it. Moving on to the back pieces, go ahead and mark 7 inches vertically from the back neckline. Afterwards, join the back pieces together on 1 inch sewing allowance, starting from the 7 inches mark down to the hem. After sewing the back pieces together, you'll notice a slit at the top of the dress, and this is basically so that it's easy for you to wear and take off the dress. So the next thing to do is to finish off the back neckline with some bias tape, and as you can see, I'm folding in 1 inch all the way to the top, as in the neckline area, and this is because I want my neckline to be nicely finished with the bias tape. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it, hold it in place with some pins, and then finish off the neckline while it's folded. This gives it a neat appearance in my opinion. Again, check out the link that I have in the description bar if you're not sure how to finish off your neckline with a bias tape. To make a button loop, you want to pipe a small strip of fabric that is only about 1 inch wide and about 5 inches long, and then go ahead and pipe as shown. After piping the small fabric needed for the button loop, go ahead and cross the button loop as shown, and then check that the button fits into the loop and out. Then go ahead and sew it onto the dress as shown. After sewing the button loop onto the dress, this is what it looks like, and as you can see, I went ahead to fix the button, and this is what the back piece looks like. It is now ready, and the next thing to do is to place the front piece on the back piece, making sure the right sides of both pieces are facing each other. Pin the shoulders together and sew on a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. You want to make sure to repeat this on the other side as well. After sewing the shoulders, go ahead and pin the sides together and mark out the sewing allowance of 1 inch and sew. You want to make sure to repeat this on the other side as well. After sewing the sides, go ahead and hem the bottom of the dress by folding in 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. So guys, I wanted to mention that normally I would overlock my dresses. However, when I was making this dress, there was no power supply, so I couldn't overlock it. So please make sure you overlock your dress to keep the edges or the loose areas from fraying. Measure out the armhole in preparation for the sleeves. So guys, the sleeves will be the last thing that we have to do for this dress. However, after measuring out the armhole, you want to put away the dress and then you want to grab the remaining fabric that you have, fold it so that you're able to cut out 2 sleeves. I'll be cutting out 2 short sleeves, so I've gone ahead to fold it in a way that will give me 2 short sleeves. And if you don't know how to cut out your sleeves, I've got a detailed video that shows you how to cut out sleeves. So check out the video that I've linked in the iCards above as well as in the description bar below. And it will just show you how to cut a sleeve or how to cut sleeves in details. So whether you want short sleeves, you want long sleeves or 3/4 sleeves, that video will be very helpful to you. After cutting out the sleeves, go ahead and notch the sleeve crown as shown. After you notch the sleeve crown, the next thing to do will be to hem the bottom of the sleeves, and you basically want to fold in 1/2 inch and then 1 inch as shown. After hemming the sleeves, go ahead and fold the sleeves into 2 so that the wrong sides are out, and then go ahead and sew on 1 inch sewing allowance as shown. Afterwards, you want to fix the sleeves onto the dress, and basically what I like to do is I like to match the side seam or the seam on the sleeves to the seam on the dress, and then you want to match the notch on the sleeve crown to the shoulder line on the dress. After pinning all of this in place, go ahead and pin the sleeves to the dress all around the armhole, and then you want to go ahead and sew on a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Repeat this for the other side, and at this point the dress is now finished and ready to be worn. Give your dress a good iron, and that's it for this dress. Alright guys, so we've come to the very end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was worth your while. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to leave your comments, suggestions and feedback in the comment section below. I'll be reading and I'll definitely get back to you. If you've not subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell, because these things absolutely help me out, guys. Thank you so much for being so supportive. You are amazing, and I'll see you in my next video on Sunday. Bye.